Are we officially live?
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right, everybody. I'm so excited to dive into webinar number 2. We're talking about data fires in the retail space. So let's set the stage by looking at the financial realities for this upcoming holiday season. This is not last year. We are all facing a significant top line headwind. Deloitte's 2025 survey confirms it. Projected average consumer spend is down to $1,595. That is a 10% year-over-year decline in your potential revenue. The why is what directly impacts our strategy. 77% of shoppers are expecting price inflation, and 57% believe the economy will weaken. That is the lowest level of consumer confidence Deloitte has seen since 1997. This demand uncertainty isn't spread evenly. We're seeing significant erosion in key growth demographics. Gen Z, for example, is projected to cut their spending by over 30%. Same thing with millennials, Gen X, and boomers. For us as leaders, this volatility creates two immediate financial pressures: margin compression and shifting channel costs. So, when I say margin compression, we're talking about this caution is driving value seeking. That means more deal hunting and earlier promotional purchasing, which puts our gross margins directly at risk. When I say shifting channel costs, the customer is still spending, but how they transact is stressing our operating models. Mobile transactions are hitting $4 trillion, and demand for hybrid fulfillment like buy online, pick up in store is now a $154 billion channel. It's exploding. The challenge is clear. We are all fighting for a smaller share of the wallet from a far more cautious consumer across more operationally complex and costly channels. So, what does this mean? It means there's no margin for cushion. We often treat these issues as IT headaches, but they are not. They are CFO problems. Our chief financial officers, this is for you. A data fire isn't a server issue, it is a profit and loss issue. And so if you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I am the CFO or I am a leader in the organization leading IT, all of this is for you because ultimately it's bringing to the attention why we need to be aware of data fires and what we need to do to prepare ourselves for this upcoming holiday season, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all the things that go along with the upcoming spending spree that comes in the retail space. So, we're going to talk about the first silent profit killer, phantom inventory. So, Capri, I want to kick us off here. Phantom stock isn't just a data error, it's a canceled order and a lost customer. From your operations view, where do these costly data fires most often start? Is it in the buy online, pickup in store handoff, or somewhere between the warehouse and the store?
So thanks, Garrett. It does usually start in the gray zones, that connective tissue between systems and functions. The store believes it's on the shelf, the website says it's sellable, the DC may already have reallocated it. Honestly, by the time the shopper clicks buy, that one SKU has potentially been promised two or three times. And that becomes really catastrophic in what you mentioned, the buy online, pick up in store, because that model depends on real-time accuracy. This is not niche anymore. Click and collect sales in the US are expected to hit $154 billion by the end of this year, growing 16% every year. And every bad data feed risks a share of that revenue. So now, if you layer in what's happening at the top of the market, Walmart just announced its partnership with OpenAI to create AI first shopping, and it allows customers to purchase directly through ChatGPT, essentially instant checkout by conversation. We're calling that agentic commerce, where AI plans, predicts, and fulfills before the shopper even searches. That only works if your data is clean, current, and connected. If your inventory lags 10 to 15 minutes behind reality, you cannot compete in that world. If you promise buy online, pick up in store, or chat to buy, and your data is stale or mismatched, you're going to fail before you even try to scale. So for a mid-market retailer, that really means that the margin for error is zero. If a large chain, and more will follow, like Walmart, is already at the point of execution on this level of scale and tech, you don't have the luxury of sloppy data or lagging systems. So phantom inventory is not a nice to fix. It's now honestly a strategic blocker. So even every 5-minute lag between point of sale order management system, and warehouse systems erodes profit by 1 to 2 basis points in peak season. I mean, that is honestly just pure margin burn. That fix is not heroic. The fix isn't heroic. You just unify your feeds, you assign clear ownership, you treat that inventory data set as a living product with, clear SLAs, automated freshness checks. When retailers make that shift, we see 30 to 40% fewer order cancellations and measurable lifts in efficiency. Ultimately, it all comes down to connectivity and design. And it's really not, and you'll hate to hear me say this, and many organizations will, it is not about massive transformation. It is about surgical precision and clear accountability.
Well, I had a crazy idea. As you're sharing this, I'm just thinking to myself, yes, it's about accountability. And this is a question both for Capri and for Jason Dyer. And this is just a wild, crazy idea. But I mean, we have, credit ratings for our money. I feel like it'd be really cool if there was a social credit rating where if we chose buy online, pick up in store, what is the likelihood we actually come to pick up that product in store? I don't know. It's a crazy concept. I'm just thinking about it. Like, as you're sharing this, I'm like, man, if you don't go to pick up your thing, you could throw somebody's entire inventory cycle totally out of whack. And if you're a repeat offender and we can't hold this person accountable, well, shoot, these people are throwing all of our inventory out the window. I don't know. This is a crazy idea. Jason Dyer, is that something that could be on the horizon moving forward? I got no idea.
I mean, I
off the
could.
top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, I like if I think about my Uber driver, I know I get rated and I rate the driver, and so there's a model for this, right? I imagine that with the retail environment, there's a number of reasons to be concerned about that world. But it's an interesting thought, right? Where retailers start to recognize who are good customers and bad customers. That's actually a dynamic that's been going on a really long time. I mean, you're always trying to target your ICP. Who are your best customers, right? Rating them so that you treat them differently or maybe ignore them even. Ooh, I don't know. That gives me pause.
Yeah, it's just an idea. I'm just throwing out, spaghetti against the wall here.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's just a crazy idea I'm thinking about off the top of my head because, gosh, if we have too many customers that select buy online, pick up in store, and then they don't come to pick up in store, we could be telling actual, real potential customers we don't have this product that we do, in fact, have because the person didn't come to pick it up. So, Jason Klekel, I got a question about data integrity. Let's talk value. What's the real cost of good enough data? How does updating inventory in 15-minute batches instead of in real time directly kill your profit margin during a sales rush?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting problem, especially for the mid-market retailers. For larger companies, they have the technology infrastructure and people to support. If things go wrong, they can jump in and fix things. They have probably technology that allows them to stream data in real time and do that. But a lot of mid-market retailers, they rely on systems that are probably less costly, affordable for them, but also compromise on the quality of the data that is shown there and the timing and the cadence of the data refreshes there. Now, in uh, in reality, when a customer goes and buys, they don't look at there's no difference when a customer looks at a mid-market retailer versus a large market retailer in terms of buy online, pick up at store. I I ordered something, I'm supposed to get it, right? There's no gap with, oh, that's a smaller company. Maybe they'll take 3 days to give you that. No, nobody's going to do that, right? So they're expecting the same level of customer experience that they get from a large store. So you're competing in that market. You have to have the ability to sustain that competition. I think that is very important. Also, I can say one more thing. Larger retailers, we have this consistent issue where, once in a while you get a notification that, hi, I can buy this thing. X number of units are available in this store. You just order that, and then um, by the time you expect the order to be delivered, it says the order is canceled because there's no inventory, right? That is something a larger retailer may be able to offset because of the larger number of orders and other things. But a mid-market retailer, it's going to be a hard time for them to sustain 3 or 4 of them because you're now getting your customers away from you, and the brand impact is so bad that we don't know the money that they're shifting, especially in this year, to something that makes them more happy. So it's very, very important that the data accuracy, the freshness of inventory availability is, really critical. And it also affects your cost. Companies are spending money on sales general and administrative costs to get the product in, right? And then have your people be available to sell in the warehouse, the advertisement money that you have put in, the systems money that you put in. So there's cost in bringing a product. And if your product doesn't sell after you invited your customer to buy, then you're running on a loss, not on a break even, not on like, okay, I have inventory, I can sell it tomorrow. No, you're actually running on a loss for that day.
Yeah, and to your point, like, I mean, shoot, if I am going to buy something from a store and they told me that the thing I was looking for that they had, whether I saw it online or I called the store itself and then I got there and it wasn't there, I'm never going to shop at that store again. I'm really frustrated. And I don't care how much of a sales blitz you had right before I came. Like at the end of the day, the customer does not care about the crazy circumstances you face before coming to your store. All they know is they wasted their time and nobody wants to have their time wasted.
I think it's also important that, the store associates also get, frustrated after some time because they're explaining to these customers that we're sorry, we cannot do this because this is happening here. And then 3 times after that, they'll just say whatever, because they don't have any other reason to say. That becomes very difficult for them to also explain to the customers.
It's a culture killer. That's such a great point because if your employees don't feel like they can trust the system that the customers are getting their data from, they're going to reciprocate that in the way they treat their customers. If they say, "Oh, hey, don't trust the online data. It's very rarely accurate." So like, you kind of just have to come in and hope that we have the product that you're hoping to get. Well, shoot, if I'm a Best Buy or if I'm a Target or if I'm a grocery store, if I'm any retail, if I'm a Claire's, I as a consumer, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go back here because I want to know that this, in fact, is going to be what I'm looking for, and it's going to have what I'm looking for. And if it's not the case, I lose trust. I'm going to go somewhere else where I feel more comfortable. So yeah, that's a really good point. Rakesh, let's talk about integration. Connecting the store's point of sale or POS, the website, and the warehouse sounds like a big, expensive IT project. How do you justify the investment to a CFO? What's the real financial risk of not fixing these broken data pipes before peak?
Yep. Let me start with one thing. We spoke about customers are very highly focused. They are looking for value, which means they also look for deep discounts, promotions, etc. Then you have all the other channels coming in, social influencers. Third is buy online, pick in store. And finally, beyond all this, right, your market is also probably going to be very unpredictable. If even though your total volume might increase, it's not the unit sold, it's basically inflation also coming in. So you are looking at a very competitive environment where you do not want to disappoint your customer. So all the examples that we mentioned, customer going to the store, finding that there's no inventory. Think about the frustration that customer would go through, and probably they will abandon the brand itself, not just the store. So you don't want, in this economy, you don't want a bad, unloyal customer or a loyal customer getting converted into, ignoring your brand going forward. And two, when customers try eventually places an order, and if let's say if it goes to a back order, adding more wait times, it leads to canceled orders, or it may lead to returns. All these are eating into your margins. So gradually, this small data fire that you ignore of inventory not being in sync can actually erode your margins, erode customer trust. At the end of it, you're looking at a massive problem, a major financial risk. And that is a driver for CFOs and CMOs and all the executives to invest in this problem and solve it at the earliest.
Well, I think what you're describing is it requires a CFO to be proactive instead of reactive. But I feel like so often CFOs are very reactive. And I guess maybe the question I have is, you know, sometimes you're lucky and sometimes you're good. What percentage of the time do you find that businesses end up lucking out and not, having an inventory problem or, not investing it and it still somehow works out? Like, what percentage of the time did the organizations end up getting away with being lucky versus paying the price for not investing in this?
See, you can never be ignorant of these issues because these will add up eating your margin at some point, right? And when the market conditions are not suiting the whole overall business, right, that is when it definitely gets into your margins and eventually it becomes a very visible problem. Do you want to wait for that? Or do you want to insure yourself against this type of problem by investing in fixing the problem at the root and then having a very resilient ecosystem, which is able to deliver what it conveys on different channels. You don't want your different channels. So let's say you click on an ad, you come to your product detail page or on your website, it says out of stock. How bad that is. You're wasting your marketing dollars. Now, when economy is bad, all this adds up to your cost and your margins, right? So I always feel at some point, everybody, even if you see you're making a ton of money right now, everything looks good, you have to invest in this. Otherwise, eventually you will run into the problem of margin problems and customer loyalty issues, etc.
No, I like it. Any other things to add on to Phantom stock? I feel like we've covered some really good details here. Capri, do you have anything to add on to this?
I would add on, so your point about the reviews, and this goes back to actually what we talked about in our first webinar with regard to post-event analysis. It is taking it all the way through. It is diagnosing the problem at the end. There are actually ways to do this where you can do performance surveys, you can scrape data online for existing reviews, whether that is for the retailer, for the brand. There's all kinds of ways to leave reviews out there for us as consumers, when we are dissatisfied, and we do. But how we get that information, we aggregate it, goes back to the question of how do we make sure that our data is connected. So it's just another data set that we have to make sure that we mine effectively and that it goes through the organization as a single source of truth and is connected. But with regard to operationally, we often do not talk about the labor hours that are burnt here as well. So if you have associates spending time hunting for a product that's not really there, inventory, this can scale into thousands of hours across stores, particularly during the upcoming holiday rush. And so this adds to the necessity of a clean data flow because it's connected across all systems. So when you fix that flow, you don't just reduce the disappointment, the refunds, the margin burn there. You also give your teams time back to sell and serve.
Okay, so let me ask, you're bringing up such a great point, Capri, but I gotta ask Jason Kalikal a question here. We are 4 weeks away from Black Friday, from today's date. I'm thinking to myself, okay, you know what? If I'm a CFO, if I'm a CTO, if I'm leading technology within my retail organization, at what point do you just say, screw it, we're just gonna roll this punch and just we're gonna roll with it. We do not have time to make the change. Like can people make changes now and have them up and running and ready to go by Black Friday? Like when would somebody is kind of like you kind of got to roll with it moment be? Is there a drop dead date that you've seen as an effective like do you need to start investing in this now? Like it's not too late, but by this date, it like you kind of got to shut it off and hope and pray.
I want to answer that in a slightly different way. I'll come back to that. So
Yeah.
there is a time for analysis and there's a time for fix, right? There's two different things there. I think it's extremely important that as a CFO or a COO, you are informed about what is happening in the company, right? You have to know what can be expected. You don't want to go blind into, a Black Friday or Cyber Monday there's lots of energy that companies put into preparing their systems and everything. But this one part where is my uh, POS reflecting the same inventory levels? Is my order management system reflecting the same inventory levels? Is my website showing the same inventory levels that I'm actually in my warehouse? Is very important. I don't know how many of these companies actually check that. It is critically important right now to go ensure that there's very less gap. I mean, I don't know if we can fix all of things in the world, but at least to come to a very, very finite conclusion of like, okay, I know my inventory is stable. I know my inventory is visible across multiple places without any gaps. Or I know there is a 10% delay or a 10-minute delay or a 5-minute delay. Be informed about that right now. I think it's very, very important to have that information in your hand saying that this is what I can expect. This is the worst case scenario. This is the best case scenario on my Black Friday. You don't want to go and say, my God, I came back and say, oh, I lost X number of dollars because I didn't know, not about it. Can you fix it? It depends. I'm not going to promise that we can fix everything within the next 4 weeks. I don't know if the companies would want to touch their systems after October also, but at least be informed is what my point in this case. But and then there's things that you can put in action right after the peak season that you learn from this analysis phase.
No, I love that. That's really great. If I'm hearing you right, what I'm hearing is ignorance is not bliss in this scenario. And so we should be aware of what our issues are. But you also highlighted this really key point. There is such thing as quick fixes, and then there's a full audit and reconfiguring of the system. At this juncture, it seems like if we discover in our understanding that we might have an issue, let's not turn away. Let's like look at it head on and then say, okay, there might be a way that we can quick fix this here, whether we're bringing in an outside consultant or we're bringing in someone in to help us. There's a quick fix option. But then after the holiday spending spree, we should look at auditing our systems and processes. So then next year, when we come to Black Friday, when we come to holiday spending and all that sort of fun stuff, our systems are equipped to handle it moving forward. So, am I hearing you right on that, Jason?
Yep, not wrong. Thank you.
No, I love that. That's great. So that's good to know. So I think I don't know, sometimes that concept of ignorance is bliss is like there's a problem and you choose not to want to get it's like almost like a health like you don't want to have like a colonoscopy or something even though you might think that there could be something going on but it could be really uncomfortable to do like the health check like you still got to do it anyways because if you ignore it you might end up dying of cancer. So I know that's a gross example but I think it's relevant in this scenario because if 50% of your revenues or profits come in this holiday season and we're just gonna say like hope and pray cross our fingers that's a lot of people's jobs are being put at risk because we're just turning away to the realities of we might have some issues and we can at this juncture make a fix. So anyways, that's sweet. Let's talk about promo discipline. So bad inventory data costs us. But the second silent killer is even more direct, giving away margin. Let's talk about promo discipline. So, Jason Dyer, I want to talk about promo architecture. Promos are meant to drive profit, not kill it. How do retailers accidentally build profit-killing discounts? And what's the quick test to see if a promo is adding new sales versus just costing you margin on a sale you already had?
Yeah, thanks, Garrett. I mean, we're talking about going into the season and some of this promo discipline, and my heart is just pounding at the nervousness of if we get this wrong, because it's a big deal. This is a major, major moment for a lot of these retailers. This is their whole season in some regards. So a lot is on the line. And as a CMO, I mean, just to be honest, look at the news. There's been a lot of layoffs recently. That's on the line as well. And I know that the first person that gets choked is the CMO. Like that's the first call. What's going on? And it's guys like me sitting in that chair and someone's upset. So there's a lot on the line if you get this wrong. I think that, when you think about your promotions, the way that it can go wrong, there's lots of ways, but there's maybe big three that I always think about. The first one is you're running a promotion and there's no really good reason for it. You just decided one day we're going to run a promotion on a thing. And what you're doing is teaching your audience, oh, they will discount. I will just wait. There is no greater margin killer than that. Another big one is, and this is really maybe more directly to your point, is sort of overlapping offers. Like if you don't have your hands around what promos you're running and then you're adding new ones on top of it, you're not only creating complexity and confusion for your staff, but you're probably over discounting too, which is another big erosion problem. And the last thing on promos that I always think about is, do I need one? So you may, in fact, be attracting a high value customer. You've done a really good job targeting your ideal customer profile and your personas. And if you think about the share of the market that you got, if you go run a promotion, what you're going to do is discount your good customers or attract ones you don't really want anyway. So those are kind of my big three when I think about them. The first one is, again, make sure you have a good reason and it has an end date, right? Don't be random. Be careful about overlapping efforts. They're going to compound. And the last one is, do you really need this? In response to your question about, well, how do I, how do I know if I did this or not? Well, obviously auditing your promotions, paying attention to what you're doing is one, but there's a lot of data factors you can pay attention to as well. One is AOV, or average order value. If you're promoting and you're seeing your average order value go up, something good is happening. So you could be seeing breakage, which is, people are coming in on the promo, but they're not actually using it. They're buying the thing at full price, for example. That's good for a retailer. Another might be, I was drawn in by that promotion, but then I bought that thing and that thing and this thing and that thing, and my cart value is going up. And so your AOV is a way to see, are you having a positive impact? If it's going down, you're probably doing that thing I was saying before, which is you're discounting people you don't need to. So AOV is like, there's lots of ways, but AOV is like one of those. And you got to pay attention to, your margin value, make sure that what you're discounting, you're not creating a loss in an unintentional way. Customer lifetime value matters too. Maybe your margins are shorter now, but the lifetime value is worth it. So lots of metrics, but those are the ones I think about.
Okay, I want to ask a question about like something I heard that I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And I want to dive into Capri on this. And it kind of it dovetails a little bit in what we talked about in our previous webinar about personalization. But Jason, you said, hey, there are some customers who come in with like a promo to get a discount and then they end up buying it at full price or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good outcome because if I, as a customer, thought I was coming in to buy this thing at whatever price it was, and then because I overlooked it, I wasn't paying attention, I ended up paying full price for it. Like temporarily, that retailer got all the money for it. But if I end up realizing it on my credit card bill, I don't know, however many weeks later or a few days later, I might be a little frustrated. I might be like, well, dang, I thought I was getting it at like this rate. Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I know it kind of dovetails into personalization a little bit. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah,
Capri, I'd be curious on your thoughts on
no, so I'm sure Capri has a point of view on this as well. But I mean, my first thought would be there's two ways to sort of handle that. One of which is it's an auto apply promo, and you've already seen the data that says when you do it, you're going to see a larger cart value, for example. That's great. Then you just go for it. If you don't have that data, well, what you definitely have to have is a good customer service team, right? So if you call Garrett and say, "Hey, this happened to me," the first thing out of their mouths ought to be, "No problem. Let me apply that for you and credit you back." Taking care of that customer is the exact same thing as creating a great experience when they come to buy from you. You have to do that.
Yeah, I exactly what Jason said. It's the end-to-end experience. It's not just the beginning experience. And it's just like we talked about last time. You can turn great brand equity into negative brand equity by disappointing someone in the middle of the process. So it's not just completing the sale, it is also the next experience that they have and every experience thereafter. You have the opportunity to disappoint a customer every single time you interact with them, just like you have the opportunity to delight a customer every time you interact with them. It's exponential on both sides. So you can exponentially amplify the disappointment of a customer with one bad experience. But on the flip side, you can also exponentially amplify brand loyalty with a really good experience where someone feels like someone's gone over and above or that the company provided great value for the brand.
I'd be curious if there's new research on promos that, I don't know, like when someone's going into the checkout, if you gave them a promo that they weren't expecting, does that increase brand loyalty? I've got like a personal story on that. This past weekend, I noticed my furnace filter was a little wet. I'm like, this is strange. So I called my brother-in-law. He's HVAC repairman. He's like, oh, you need to get your HVAC pipes cleaned out. And I swear I called 7 HVAC companies, and every single one of them was like, oh, it's $200 just to come out so we can give you a consult, and then we'll quote you on what it is. And I'm like, my brother-in-law told me it's going to cost like 50 to 150 bucks to have my, HVAC pipes cleaned out. So finally I get a hold of one, and the guy on the phone's like, hey, we're gonna come out. It's $200. I'm like, okay, that's a little bit higher than what my brother-in-law said. He said it was gonna be about 50 to 150 bucks. And he's like, oh, well, we have our spring clean or our fall cleaning special. It's 99 bucks, and part of it is cleaning out your pipes. I'm like, you don't say. You've won my business, and I'm gonna go for you with all of my HVAC needs. And they came out and they fixed it. But the point is that like he didn't immediately come with a promo. It was only when I had been educated and told him like, hey, my brother-in-law told me it should cost me around this much, that he came back with it. And I'm loyal to that customer company now. I don't know. Is there any new research on when you deliver the promo, like almost the unexpected surprise, or maybe it's just me, I don't know, like that makes it a better experience or worse? I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this. When you said it dovetails into personalization, what
Yeah.
was more important in that entire experience? Was it you getting a flyer that said, hey, Garrett, we've got, a service that you might need, or was it the actual solving of your problem? I think we put a lot of emphasis on the value of personalization, when in fact, personalization is more about meeting the right need at the right time for you, not saying, hey, Garrett, I got your name right and I said it directly to you. That's not the part that you find valuable. The part that you find valuable is that you solved a problem at the right time.
Yeah. If you call
Yeah.
me Jarrett and not a hard G, but you fix my pipes, you know what? I can live with it.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on that for a second. I mean, that's about selling value, right? So there's obviously an entire strategy about being the low cost provider. And in that world, well, yeah, there's discounting and there's all that kind of stuff that's getting thrown around because you don't care, you're playing on volume, you want to be the cheapest solution out there. But there's also selling value, which is what Capri is talking about, which is I'm providing you what you need when you need it with, again, strong customer care. That's really the better way to sell. It's going to certainly create more value for your organization, unless your entire strategy is to be the low cost provider. And that's really a challenging place to be because it is an absolute race to the bottom.
That's right. No, that's great.
100%. Yeah.
I think about God, this is another on topic story. There was a sushi restaurant in my college town growing up, and they put on their menus 50% off all entree orders, like physically on the menu. So like, why put why have a menu price if everything's 50% off no matter what? Friday night, Saturday night, Wednesday lunch, doesn't matter. Everything's 50% off. Like I didn't understand the strategy they were going towards. So they literally
Discounted
put it.
sushi. Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, exactly. I didn't go there all that often, but I
Little
knew
sketchy.
I went there once and I was like, oh, this is interesting. Yeah, this is a great point, Jason. Is sushi the thing I really want to have discounted? All right, Jason Kleekle, let's talk about promo guardrails. What technical guardrails like floor prices or kill switches offer the biggest financial protection? How does this simple tech investment prevent a viral coupon from becoming a $1 million mistake?
There's two sides to it, right? One is, see, as a customer, I don't want an experience where I was offered something, I come to a store or I come online, I order something and immediately the store says, sorry, we made a mistake. I cannot give you the product at that price anymore, right? That's really a bad experience for the customer. But it's also important that the store doesn't sell things on price that they cannot afford, right? Below a threshold that they're going to lose on the market, right? So there's very, very important measures, and that they're very easy measures. Nowadays, your most of the systems allow, or order management systems allow you to put in a floor price and say that I'm not going to sell below this price. So before getting into peak season, I think it's very important that every CFO audits their products, the SKUs that they're offering at a promotion, and then ensure that that doesn't fall below a threshold that they're going to incur any loss. So I think kill switches and floor prices are very, very important. But it also should not be used against a customer when they are attracted by your own promotions. So your promotions have to have clarity and timing that really reflects. See, giving a customer an informed way of, hey, this is what the price is going to be, is more important than you attracting somebody and coming to the store and say, so I can't sell the product at the price anymore. It is also, I mean, there are so many other rules that people can add. Like, for example, you sell a product, let's say at 25% of the total value, right? That's 75% discount. But you can also put a tag saying that we won't accept a return for this product anymore. You take it, that's yours. But again, the information has to go to the customer. It cannot be coming back as a boomerang saying that, oh, nobody told me that this cannot be returned, and now there is a customer care problem at the end of the day. So the retailers have to be very, very clear in their messaging and very, very clear about the timing in which you are giving advertisements out and then in bringing in customers into your website or store.
No, I like it. That makes sense. I think that's a really good point. The timing is critical. Rakesh, let's talk about promo sync and integration. When an ad and the checkout cart don't match, you've paid for an ad click and lost the sale. How does investing in a single source of truth for promos provide a direct ROI for both the marketing and finance teams?
I think we all discussed about how promos are strategized, how it is built. Now we have to also think about how it is delivered to the customer. Business do all type of strategies like buy one get one free, tiered promotions, gift with purchases. There are a ton of different strategies that business come up with. Now you have to take this to the customer and honor that promotion in a most accurate way. That's also part of the business process, right? This is where a lot of issues do come. A few years back, when I was working for one of the retailers, they never used to show the promotional prices on marketing platforms because the latency in sending that feed out was more than the duration of the promo sometimes. So they were never able to take it to the customer. And of course, there was work done to improve that, and then they were eventually able to show that to the customer. Now, also making that very accurate, like you don't show anything that has expired, that creates customer disappointment. See, the balance is that marketing is putting a lot of money to get traffic onto the site, but you also need the traffic to convert because otherwise your ad spend is gone. And in that, when that conversion happen at the right profit, that's when your CFO is happy, your finance team group is happy. So I think the bridge between marketing's ability to create all this promotion and bring the traffic in, and then converting that and making the margin is actually the data integrity between all the systems. So that is where the most important point reside. Like, you get all the benefits of doing this, like reducing the margin leakage or, making the promotions budget friendly. Your ad spend is optimal. Over time, your customer's lifetime value increase from a marketing point of view. And, Jason touched upon the point of, customers calling your call center. That's an added OpEx. Like your call center, the moment your call volumes increase, you need to staff more people, and then it's again customers really having a firefighting to get the promotion you want that you offer to them. So that is the importance of fixing this and making sure all systems are showing the same price, and that's where the single source can really be helpful. It need not even be single source. Sometimes it's just that you have to make sure the prices are all in sync. Promotions are all in sync for the customer.
Really good point, Rakesh. So I am a big fan of tangible next steps. If you're watching this and you're probably thinking to yourself like, okay, cool. Like this is all information, good to know sort of stuff. But like, Can we distill down to one simple thing? Like if we were to make this real for everyone listening and watching, what is one fix our audience can make in the next 3 weeks that will have the biggest and fastest positive impact on their holiday profit? And I'm talking about from whether you're a CFO or an IT professional and everybody in between in the entire line of the organization. Is there a is there one fix that our audience can make over the next few weeks that'll have the biggest and fastest positive impact on their holiday profit? So I want this to be a round robin. I want to hear from everybody here. Capri, do you want to kick us off with this?
Sure. I'll just start. I'm sure everybody can build on this. Audit your promise, right? Whether that's a pickup promise, it's an online promise, whatever it is, audit that. Literally trace your top 10. And if we're talking about buy online, pick up in store, trace the top 10 SKUs from click to counter. Did the website sync to the OMS correctly? Did the store confirm the hold? Was the feed correct at the exact time of purchase? You will almost always find cracks, whether that's stale scans, missed confirmations, duplicate allocations. Close those now. Every 1 point improvement in that accuracy protects conversion and labor efficiency. And you already told us the stakes are higher this year. So know where the cracks are coming from before you, even before you are in the position of trying to diagnose what happened when you see declining sales. And the market already has competitors who are executing at AI scale. They're betting that customers will simply be able to type things into a chatbot and buy them instantly. So if we're just auditing our promise, they're executing at that scale. Get there now. Like, start to take those SKUs directly through the promise that you're making to the customer and audit that.
Gosh, Capri, you bring up such a good point. I think if you are an individual contributor and you're watching this right now and you're like, oh, I can't control a lot of these things. Like, whatever you can control, your competitor is AI. Like, at the end of the day, we are seeing companies lay people off. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this to say, like, now is the time to prove yourself. Like, this is it. And if you deliver and you crush it, I mean, not to say that keeping your job should be your consolation prize, but like, it can allow you to escalate within your career and your organization. But if you fumble this, your companies, especially your CFO, might be more prone to say, you know what, let's just see if AI can do this better. And we have replaced the salary with technology. And that's not a great proposition if we're an individual contributor right now. So I'm not saying this to be like doom and gloom, but Capri, you bring up such a good point that like this is a little thing. It's on all of us. It's not just the CFO or CTO or COO or CIO or COO. It's not just the C-suite who this is on. It's on everybody.
I'm also going to make a quick, AI is for enablement. So I always want to put my plug in there too. The human in the loop is so critically important with AI, and in part because of everything that we're talking about today. You can't have data without being able to dig in and see, hey, something went wrong there. And that is the human in the loop. We are the ones that can say that promotion was effective, it was not effective. Data being clean and AI enables us to be able to see things that we wouldn't necessarily be able to see. Ingest billions of data points that we're not built to be able to do. So yes, it is about that human in the loop, and every one of us plays a role. There is accountability and ownership across the organization and functions.
I love it. So right. Jason, Dyer, what is one fix our audience can make in the next few weeks that'll have the biggest and fastest positive impacts on their holiday profit?
Yeah, listen to Capri. No, I mean that was that was awesome. I don't know if everybody can see
Can you tell
me.
my kids that? No.
Yes, I can. Yes. I mean, thumbs up on both of those. But I mean, I'm listening to it and I'm thinking nothing kills more completely than complacency. And so, Capri's talking about auditing. I mean, I think it's easy to assume, oh, we did this well last year, or oh, so and so over there has got it, no big deal. That is a recipe for disaster. You have to audit your processes. So I love that. Related, I think maybe to expand, one of the things I would do is the simple one related to the question you asked me, which is architecture. Go audit what your promos are, which ones are out there. Did you allow them to retire? Is your system still accepting them? I mean, that's actually not that hard to do. I mean, you could literally pull your marketing team and go, what are you running? What are you running? What are you running? I mean, it can be, that simple, or you can let your systems help you, but just audit what you're doing. Go into that knowing armed with the knowledge of what you're actually running. It's a very simple thing that will set you up for success.
Cool. No, I love it. Jason Dyer or Jason Kalikal, how about you? What is one fix our audience can make in the next few weeks that'll have the biggest and fastest positive impact on their holiday profit?
I would say be informed. Really understand what's going on in your company. So auditing, you can't audit the whole thing. So as Capri said, audit your top 10 or top 15 SKUs. That is really important for you. Maybe that is your 25% revenue driver, right, from those. But have information. Right? Do you have analytics today that can tell you that you have X amount of inventory in system A, X amount of inventory in system B, and are they in sync or not? Right? Is there a delay in between your systems? Do you have analytics for that? If not, put it in place right now. That way you know that your inventory is consistently shown across multiple channels, and that's actually reflecting what you have in the warehouse. And you're not offering something that somebody comes and gets ghosted, right? So basically, really, we need to have clean analytics. Just that's one thing that I would say as a very serious requirement going into the peak, and definitely tsworks can help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you're thinking to yourself, okay, uh, I want someone who can help with this and help us, move this forward. Yeah, Jason, you and your team can help that. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, and we can also say that we are having a product that can plug it into your system and can tell you if there is a data fire going on in certain capacity. So I think that's an announcement that we are making right now here that we can
Wow,
help.
we're officially making this announcement, Jason?
Yeah,
Okay, that's exciting. Holy smokes. That's
early stage, but it still can do a lot of help with companies that have struggles in understanding, is my inventory delays there or not.
Well, we were just talking about this. Are you trying to tell me that if I'm a CFO, CEO, COO, if I'm a leader in a retail organization, one of the things we just talked about was the power of being at least in the know of where we might be having a data fire. You're saying you've got a plug and play product that can come in and tell us where our data fires are?
Yes.
That's
To,
wild.
to
That's cool.
early stage, but yes.
That's cool. I mean, sorry, I don't mean to hype it up, but I would imagine that if I'm a retail executive, like we talked about, ignorance is not bliss. This is a way to not be ignorant. Now, granted, the fix might be something that's a little hairy or whatever, but shoot, I'd much rather know that I got something going on and start taking, preventative measures to save my life or in this case, my business, than find out about it at a later date and then be left really frustrated. So that's cool. So I will be excited to see this product once, I know you're launching it right now. You're in the early stages, but I'm excited to see it.
Thank you.
Hey, for those who are watching, I want to tease this out. We're going to do Q&A in just a little bit. Rakesh, I want you to bring us home. But if you have a question that you want this amazing panel to answer, please start thinking about it, put it in the comments section. But Rakesh, bring us home. What is one fix our audience can make in the next few weeks that will have the biggest and fastest positive impact on their holiday profit?
I think between the three of you, Jason, Capri, and Jason, pretty much most of the things are covered. I think I would go extend just one thing. 80-20 rule is always applicable here. Like your top 20 SKUs, 20% of your SKUs are going to contribute to your margins and your volumes. Focus on that. Get your information right with our tool, and really, we can fixes are always after the fact that we know where the problem is, what the problem is. And throughout this holiday season, keep monitoring. I think without that, you can't do an early detection and solve. So, and fixes can be as simple as adding a buffer on your store inventory so that you don't oversell. But to get to that point, you really need to know what your data is, how it is behaving, where are the issues. So I think ignorance is not a bliss. I think I would say that.
Cool. Very nice. I like it. All right, we got a question. A comment in our feeds. Say best. Sorry, I think Say best is the person. Buy seems to have mastered the always in stock experience. Is that a technology advantage or an operational mindset mid-market retailers can replicate? So it's got to do with phantom stocks. Who wants to take that one?
You'd do me a favor, please, and read it one more time. Sorry, I did not,
I'll read
can't
it
see
one
it
more
in the
time.
chat.
I probably dropped the ball on the reading of it. So buy seems to have mastered the always in stock experience. Is that a technology advantage or an operational mindset mid-market retailers can replicate? Oh, Best Buy. Whoops. Best Buy seems to have mastered the always in stock experience.
Thank
Is that a
you. Yeah.
technology advantage or an operational mindset mid-market retailers can replicate? Sorry, missed the space and misread it. But anyways, who wants to take this one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I could go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Capri.
Jason, kick us off. Jason Kleagle.
Yeah, I think it is a very good idea to have um, that mindset if you know your stock very well. So you can do that when you have confidence that you can replenish your stock within a certain period of time. And you really need to do it only against the SKUs that you have that high level of confidence against. I don't think you can go across the store and then say, you order, I'll supply, whatever it takes. I don't think it's a great idea. But at the same time, it's also a good idea to allow customers to be informed. Again, give the information to the customer saying that this could be 2 days when you order and we can fill it for you. And that's significantly helpful for the customer to understand what they are going against.
That's interesting. Have you seen any retail organizations implement not necessarily scarcity, but like say like this is how many we have left in stock. And it's like if there's only two left in stock and you're like, well shoot, I want to get my hands on this thing. I'm gonna buy. I don't know. Like, is that a tactic you see retailers deploying? Is it effective? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think Capri can speak very much to that. I have seen it across multiple retailers, especially the larger companies, have the capability to show that there's only five. Amazon does it, Best Buy does it. You can have Walmart doing it. Like there's a lot of companies that are doing it. Coming to mid market, I don't know if they are doing it or not. I think people struggle with the technology to provide that or the process to provide. Even if they have the technology, I think people are worried like do I want to show it or not? Capri, maybe you can speak more to the business aspect of it.
No, I would say, well, and actually I'm going to speak to the consumer experience of that because the the value in that is it's multiple. You can ensure that you're setting customer expectations properly. You are heading off potentially negative experiences with the brand later. But what you have to make sure that you don't go over the threshold of is seeing it as a marketing ploy. So to your point, Garrett, they think, yes, I need to buy. What you want to do again is fulfill the promise to the customer at the time that they need it at the right price and at, exactly as what value they need. So if you're capturing that demand, but then the consumer feels manipulated into purchasing it because they think that you're just telling them that the inventory is low and it's not really low, that's a trust problem with the brand. So you always have to just be really cognizant of how you're building brand trust. Are you adding to the trust with the brand or are you potentially, is it decretive? So you just need to be careful there with that mechanism. The how is important.
No, I like that's a good one. Okay, another question we have. Um, when a product shows as available online but isn't in store, what's the real cost beyond the canceled order? And who in the organization owns that loss? Capri, I think might be another one for you.
I mean, first of all, it is a loss for the organization, period. We've been talking about the consumer experience across the spectrum in every single interaction. But going back to my recommendation to audit, every part of the organization owns a small part of that loss. So, and having your data be connected is important to be able to even diagnose where it broke down. So it's hard to say who owns the loss if your data is not in the right space, right? If you're not doing post-event analysis, it's hard to say who owns that loss. But ultimately, it hits the P&L, and so the whole organization will own that loss. And the executive leadership will want to know, where did it break down? Jason, I think you had something you wanted to add.
Yeah, I was just going to add, I mean, it's not always a loss. And so available online, but not available in store might also be what we might be a marketing person behind this, which is let's test this. Hey, I don't see a lot of demand for this product, but there's enough over here. Something's going on. So you surface it to your audience so that you can see how many purchases you get. Now you're making merchandising decisions that are informed by data collected. But to Capri's point, it can come with a trade-off. And so you have to monitor your data. You have to have really good, I'll say it again, customer care people involved. They have to be informed, by the way. If a marketing person like me goes and does a trial balloon like this, and I don't tell anybody in customer care, I have just created a trust problem.
I think it also has to speak to the confidence that you have in the inventory. Let's say you don't have it in the store right now, but you have the confidence that you can ship to the customer within the next period of time. If you really know that and you're really informed, the leaders are really informed about that, probably you can. Otherwise, it's just going to add to a good amount of negative trust, and also you're losing on the advertisement you just made. You lost the advertisement money also.
All right, one last question. I like this last one that just came in, and because we've been talking a little bit of doom and gloom here, it is the opposite essential effect of this question. But we've been talking about data fires as a cost and risk, but can clean, connected data also be a growth driver for future quarters? How do you turn prevention playbook into a revenue engine?
From a technology standpoint, 100% I can agree that your data is your gold mine, right? You make decisions out of it day in, day out, whether it's your internal FP&A team doing it, whether it's your marketing team doing it. The data is what gives you the ability to drive your business forward, especially when the market is dire. You want to rely on the right data. I can tell you from a technology and a data person standpoint, that's the case. But definitely, Jason and Capri can speak from the business and marketing angles of it.
Yeah, I just want to say 100% it can. I mean, if your bucket is leaking, or maybe your boat has holes, guess what? It's going to go down. And so, there's a lot of ways to sort of improve your profitability. And one, of course, is, and marketers, we love this. Let's go create new demand. Let's attract new customers. Let's expand our share of market. And that's all true. But there's a lot to be said for margin, or I should say just sales that are lying there that you're not getting because your data is not telling you a clear enough story. You're just letting that revenue roll right out the door, and you may not even see it. And so I love, Jason and Rakesh talking about these data fires, because sometimes in your organization, there's stuff that's burning and you're not paying attention, again, because maybe you're complacent or you're not auditing to talk about what Capri said. You're not paying attention, but there's money there just going out the door that if you're a bit more vigilant about your data, that's another way to improve your revenue profile and your profitability. Keep what you should be getting by having clean data that lets you make good decisions.
All right, we had one last question come in. Capri, can we quickly get to this one before we sign off? But you had
I
a friend
think we
who's
can.
watching about a dynamic pricing by store driven by store performance slash income. So the question is dynamic pricing by store driven by store performance and income. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit, Capri?
Just maybe how we feel about it. And Jason, I think that both Jasons probably have a good perspective on this. One is about data supporting that, and two, is it a good idea? So we're talking about the consumer experience overall, and we have more accessibility to pricing across omni-channel right now as a consumer than we ever have before. I mean, you can search by image, you can search by name, you can search by any number of things to see where this item exists in the marketplace, the cheapest or on promotion. So there is risk there to some dynamic pricing. It just depends on the good and what kind of demand you're looking at. Jason, I'll pass it over to you.
I would just build on that. That's a strategy choice. I mean, you've got airlines, you've got hotels. We all know businesses that make money on yield and dynamic pricing. First of all, to back Jason, you got to have the data. But second of all, that's a strategy. Do I want to be that company? Do I want to be fixed pricing? That's a strategy choice.
You need to base that on real good data. You cannot just go and make that on, hey, I know from my experience that this works. Maybe, maybe not. You don't even have the data to support that. And you also have to analyze the impact of those promotions or those price differences after the fact as well to see if it's really giving you benefit or not.
So no more hunches. Let's go with data, baby. No more gut feels or hunches. We're going with data.
That's right.
Well, everyone, this has been a great webinar. I feel like we've covered a lot of ground there. Those that are watching live, thank you for staying with us for this hour. We look forward to continuing this conversation about data fires in the retail space, and we appreciate your engagement and your active questions during this, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Happy Halloween.